or is that?
Just it's picking up desktop audio.
Oh, I think it's starting now.
Okay.
Hello. Hi. Hopefully we're now live. Welcome to this afternoon's Ask Me Anything, coming live from London, from Vochlea HQ. Sorry, I'm sitting in the.
Crowd this way. Yeah.
Okay. We've got a few things set for you today to go through. And we've got some questions as well.
Yes.
If you come up with any more questions, pop them in the comment section in Facebook, and Kelly will run around and be checking those, because we don't actually have a laptop in front of us to check those questions, because we've got everything set up for doing some live demos.
Yeah.
So what we've got today, sorry, I'm going straight for it, but what we've got today is some other inputs. So obviously, I'm going to start with the caveat, right? Everything that we've done on the Dubler Studio Kit has been focused on the voice. That is what it's for. It's a vocal MIDI controller. All of our pitch recognition stuff is going to be focused and tailored to the voice, and all of our kind of vocal control stuff that's our bread and butter, right? So this is the caveat with everything we're about to do now is kind of more on the experimental side, and we just wanted to mess around with it, but we're not a kind of catch-all audio to MIDI converter. We are focused on the voice. Anyway, that's my little kind of hedging what I'm saying.
Actually, I think what we could start with is a quick demo of the latency and singing along. So, George is going to go to our second camera angle now. I'm going to switch him over. You ready, George?
Just a second.
Okay. Well, maybe we can watch you with a little bit of setup.
Yeah, that's all right.
Right. So at the moment, George is getting his phone set up to play a tune.
Where do you want me?
Yeah, that's perfect. If you're sitting down a little bit, then So George is going to be playing a song on his phone, which is going to be coming out the little amplifier.
So there was a question about this actually, which is kind of why we're doing it. Someone said, is the latency low enough so that we could so that you could do a kind of performance with other people, so that you could do a duet, or so that you could do kind of live performance, and you could be making stuff with instrumentalists. And so I said the best way to kind of test this, so what we do is we have our kind of built-in end-to-end latency test, and that spits out a number, which at the moment for Mac is around like 10 or 11 milliseconds, and for Windows it's probably more like 13, is that right, David? Something like that, 13, 14. I mean, we're constantly doing improvements on latency and kind of getting those little latency improvements where we can. But to be honest, the real test is much more to do with actually how it feels to use. And so the way that we do that is by trying to beatbox along to something. And that's the test. If you can beatbox along to another piece of music, then it's within the acceptable latency. So I've got some prints. Okay. Hopefully you could hear the prints, because obviously that's a little bit better than the music that I was making, and that song doesn't need any improving. But if I wanted to, if I thought it was possible, I could do it live with Dubler. Okay. I'm going to come back round.
Yeah, coming over. Okay, switching the camera. There we go.
I'm just going to run around and check.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I don't know if we should have any more questions, or we should go on to other input.
I was thinking, actually, what we could do is we could have one question, another demo, one question, break up the questions.
Sounds good.
So what's the first question?
Do you want me to read one of these out?
Yeah,
okay.
go for it.
We printed off a couple, and as I say, if you've got any more that come up as we're going, pop them in the comments. If you're watching this when it's not actually live, if you're watching this later, still pop it in the comments, because we can just roll it into the next AMA, or we'll just answer by typing back to you. Okay, so there's two questions here, one of which is incredibly long and the other shorter, so I'm going to start with the short one. Jonathan Williams says, can I hear how my songs would be played by different instruments using Vochlea? I want to write violin parts and parts for other instruments. Thanks.
can I hear how they
Can
would
I
sound?
hear how my songs would be played by different instruments using Vochlea or using Dubler?
Ah, yeah.
Using Dubler would be.
Yes, I mean that's absolutely what we're offering really at the core of it. So if you were to sing and then you selected the violin, okay, this is the way I've been using it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're singing something, maybe you picked a trumpet and then you sing something, you record it into MIDI and you have your MIDI notes in your DAW, then you could, if you recorded it with a trumpet, you could then just click and listen to how it would sound like in a violin.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sounds better in the instrument you didn't intend it for. But also whilst it's live, you can just be in your DAW. You can actually be just selecting a different instrument and playing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to be honest, it's probably more of a functionality of the DAW almost than of Dubler, because of course you could do that with other MIDI controllers too. Swap out what software instrument you're controlling. Record a part. Obviously, you can record a part using Dubler, lay down the MIDI, and then mess around with whatever. Now once it's in MIDI, you can have it being any instrument.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Demo number 2, guitar.
Do you want to do guitar?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's my second caveat. The first one was to do with me being voice. The second one's to do with me not being a very good guitarist.
Okay. So back over to George, who's now going to be setting up with the guitar, and he's going to show what is the main part of this AMA, just to show non-vocal triggers and the possibilities there are with these instruments. It's not it's not actually the intended output or intended necessary use of it, but it just showing what's kind of possible. Switching over to you, George.
So, right, what have I got here? I've got Dubler set up with Ableton. I've got a couple of different synths pulled in. Which one should we start with? We'll start with this, I don't know, this one here. No, we'll start with brass. Alright, okay. So I've got, if anyone's out there is a kind of guitar geek, this is a Washburn. I got it years ago because I was inspired by Nuno Bettencourt, although it's not anything like an N4. But anyway, and I've got THR10 Yamaha little practice amp, it's really nice. And I've mic'd that up, and so the pitch that's coming out of my guitar is obviously coming out of the Yamaha, but it's also then going into Dubler. So what you can hear there is the brass that's being triggered in Ableton is being controlled by the pitch of the guitar. So what I've done is actually I've got pitch bend on, and I think the pitch bend range is not matched. So I'm just going to swap over to a different synth. Let's try this one. That's loud. 1 second. Alright, let's try that. So what you can do, of course, is pop the pitch bend on, which allows you to do things like bend the string. So you can get a nice bit of vibrato on. You can have, hammer-ons. Of course, what you can't do is things like chords, because all of our recognition being based on the voice is obviously based on monophonic recognition. So if I kind of go, it's playing a note, but it's just playing the single note rather than the whole chord. Anyway, we've been messing around with this quite a lot. It's also actually uncovered a few things that we'd like to try and improve on. So it's actually been a nice little exercise for us. The thing that I really wanted to be able to do, so I don't know if I move this round, is this going to work? How long's our cable? Oh. Alright, can you see their Dubler?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a little bit out of focus, but
it's a little bit out of focus.
Maybe move your hand in front of the screen. Yes,
there you go.
Perfect.
Okay. So there's two things that you can actually start to experiment with a little if you want. One is on the trigger side. So all of these triggers here that I've already got set up are actually, vocal ones. I've got my triggers turned off, hang on. So I've just picked up the mic here. But what you could do is teach it different sounds, so that if you do something like a kind of palm mute, you could have that triggering a certain sample. You could have an open string triggering a different kind of sample. And that's something that we were just starting to mess around with before doing this AMA. At the moment, like I say, all of this is pretty experimental. The other thing which I'm interested to work on a little bit in the future, maybe, we don't make any guarantees on this because we have, our main priority is of course fulfilling the Kickstarter orders, so that is what we're 100% focused on. But after that, one of the things maybe we might look into, I don't know, is to do with these A, E, U and sounds, which at the moment are completely focused on the voice. But you maybe could have it so that you can see that the sound is being controlled there a little bit, it's responding to the guitar. But you know, maybe you could actually be controlling these dials by doing things like palm muting or open string, or if you're playing with a different instrument, you know, have it being controlled by the different ways that you can put expression into analog instruments. Anyway, that's the end of the guitar demo. I'm going to come back around.
Okay.
Cool.
So we did Jonathan's question before. Is that right?
Yeah, we did. It's in reverse order. So
oh, you did the shortest one first.
Yeah.
And I was over at the computer. Okay, so I'm going to ask you for first. Got two questions from Kevin Black.
Mm-hmm.
Is the software/hardware currently capable of triggering from multiple sources simultaneously? If not, is there a plan to add this capability later on, and will those upgrades be available to supporters?
Okay, so the first way to answer this question, can you get audio from multiple sources and use that to control Dubler? Yes, but that's kind of limited to a couple of things. So you can pick up percussion at the same time as you can pick up pitch, and you can pick up the timbre of the voice as well. So there's three things that you can pick up simultaneously. What you can't do is have two people singing on the same microphone because it can only pick up one like monophonic pitch. If you're hitting two drum kits at the same exact time, it's not going to pick up the two hits at the same time. You would need, in that situation, you would need two Dubler setups.
Or to train a sound for a double hit, because
Right.
of course there will be a signature. So if you're miking up a drum kit, for example, and you're hitting a snare drum or you're doing the kick drum, you could then also teach a sound which is snare and kick drum at the same time, if you wanted.
Yeah. So there are basically those kind of limitations in terms of upgrades. I think what we're going to be doing is, once this kit's out there, we're going to be getting user feedback, and we're going to be prioritizing that and acting on whatever people really need. But for the moment, we are, like George was saying earlier, we're really focused on the voice and a user using it to basically produce music, and that's the main thing. Although we're showing off the guitar and all this kind of cool stuff you can do, that's the main thing.
For sure. And just the point on the upgrades being available to supporters, that is something we're planning to do, to make sure that you get continuous upgrades of the software, so you know you're not going to have to buy the next version, and you're going to be grandfathering that into you Kickstarter backers.
Absolutely. So that's something that we want to make really clear, is that we really appreciate the people that have supported us at this stage, and we're going to be grandfathering people in so that you'll be getting all of the updates as the software's maturing. So there won't be anyone left behind with like a buggy thing or something. We'll make sure that in 6 months, a year's time, that you've got a Dubler that's up to date, all of the security, quality stuff that you'd expect.
Yeah, any feature improvements, all that stuff.
Yeah,
100%. Anyone who's backing us pre-sales, we are very, very appreciative of your support. So yeah, definitely getting the updates.
Great.
Okay, going to move on to Kevin's second question, which is very long, so bear with me. I also saw in the tech notes on the Kickstarter page that the application has noise resistance algorithms built in to prevent unwanted triggering in live applications. Do these algorithms allow the same parameter controls and functionalities typically found in noise gate applications? If not,
let's stop at that one, because there's a lot to take in with just those couple of sentences. Yeah, we've got two methods of noise reduction. One is the algorithms that we've been talking about that do noise reduction, kind of algorithms. That is actually something for the percussive system, and that's kind of state-of-the-art, quite new. It's a set of algorithms that have only just been produced in the literature. So it's not a noise gating system, but it's amazing because we've demoed it in places that were really loud, in fact one place had an opera singer on a sound system, and we were still able to do the beatboxing on it. So that's one class of algorithm, and that's all tuned, and I think that's probably pretty much as good as it's going to get.
And the demo for that, to be honest, when we first realised that we needed to do that, is because we're doing that test that I just demoed a little bit earlier, which is our kind of like feel test for latency is, can you beatbox along to some live music? And so what we're finding is we'd play it out loud, we'd start trying to beatbox along to it, and suddenly Dubler would just not be able to process what's going on because there's so much, because of the background music. So that was what kind of inspired us to go, no, we really need to get this sorted. And hopefully what you saw there when I was beatboxing along to Prince, I mean, we've got two rockets that were pointing right at the Dubler microphone playing Prince, and it was absolutely fun.
Yeah, it's amazing actually. It's like magic once we implemented that. And then the next thing is for pitch, and that's noise gating, like the standard sort of noise gate algorithms. At the moment, this is a really good point, and I hadn't considered it until Kevin's question. We do have a noise gate. The noise gate has been tuned by us. In fact, we've got an automated tuning process where we're like tuning the parameters to what feels right for us. But I think what we will be doing is we will be extending out control to users. If not in the release version, within a couple of months after release. We're just trying. One of the things that we're trying to do with Dubler is make it really simple to use. So as you can see in the UI that you're seeing here, which is going to be improved, it looks very simple, straightforward. We want it to be something that people install and they can just get on with straight away without having too many things to tinker with.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, you've actually asked. You've answered the middle section of his question.
Right.
I'm not going to read that. Okay, so, but then, actually I will, because then he just makes a comment. So he's saying, if not, is there a plan to add these capabilities later or allow the application to be used in conjunction with separate noise gate in a live setting?
Yeah.
The creative possibilities that could be exploited by manipulating attack and release alone seem very exciting all by themselves if the program is capable of dynamic response to those parameters. And if we can get sidechain triggering, ... exclamation mark.
I don't know what that means.
I was hoping you would.
Unfortunately, Cam's not in house today, but maybe we'll do a bit of Googling.
Do some research.
I'm just going to run around quickly and see if anyone's, because we don't have the Facebook up live, so I'm just going to run and see if anyone has any more questions.
And in the meantime, I'm actually going to repoint the camera for the third demo.
I can do that. All right.
Okay,
no,
so
you're going to be doing the drumming.
I'm going to do the drumming. All right.
Absolutely. Okay.
This is like the live equivalent of radio silence when you're hosting a radio show. That's like a cardinal sin. So what we're going to show now is another kind of audio input, but this time to do with triggering of drums. So Daven, in good preparation, unlike how we weren't so prepared for Kevin's question, but we're well prepared for this one, which is we've already created a profile that's been taught to some of these two biros, is it, and the table.
The two biros. So this is how it works, George. This mini rig cover is the bass drum, and then just the table hit underneath it is the hi-hat, but specifically with this biro. And this biro hitting the phone is the snare.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think you should go
No. You've definitely got the drumming skill.
Okay. Oh, that was supposed to be it. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what we should just quickly do, as we've got this mug here?
Okay.
Let's just show. I don't know if this is going to work. Should
Do you want to train another one?
Let's train another one.
Okay. So in fact, what I will do is I'll show our users how we're training another one. So gone into trigger edit mode, adding a trigger.
Yeah.
And what would you like?
Some kind of symbol, please.
Okay, cymbal.
Crash cymbal, that'll do.
Crash cymbal.
Perfect.
Okay.
Right.
I'll record some song.
So that was me hitting the mug, by the way.
Right, okay, so let's put it back.
Are we playing? Nice. I think because I haven't got quite as close as the others, I'm not getting every time. Oh, pretty good then.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Right, back to
So all those finger drummers out there, you know.
Yeah.
I used to have a drum kit, and I managed to persuade my parents into getting me a drum kit, or starting to get me a drum kit, because they weren't going to do it, and then they came home and I'd taken out every single pan or item from the kitchen and laid it out in an absolutely massive drum kit and said, well, if you're not going to give me a drum kit, I'm just going to hit all of your stuff. But now you could actually make that into the drum kit.
Yeah. In fact, one of the demos that we did ages ago was in front of the drum kit and having Dubler mic'd up, just like George mic'd up the guitar, and was triggering all sorts of different sounds to augment the drum kit. It was amazing.
Dizzy samples.
Yeah, dizzy samples, in fact. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I don't know, Kelly, if you've got any more questions.
There's not really. There's a guy who's asking for an example of something, but it's not asked exactly what. And yeah. So, but actually, no, we don't have any additional questions right now. So.
Cool.
Oh, God, I just realised that this microphone was over here. Sorry, guys.
I hope you could hear that last bit, but you know, by the sounds of it, no one's watching anyway, so it's fine.
22 people watching.
Oh,
hey
guys! Well, thank you so much for watching. If you do have a question, ask it right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll catch you at the next AMA.
Yeah.
And 5 days to go, 6 days to go, is it? What exactly?
6 days.
6 days to go. Thank you so much for your support, and yeah, we're really excited to get the Dubler Studio Kit out to you all.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be having as much fun as us. You can see how ridiculously fun it is.
Yeah, we just mess around. No, but we're working very hard to get you.
Okay, cool.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.